Well, we are into draft for game 2. KC electing to be on the blue side after losing on it in game 1. Let's see where we sit in terms of bans. Obviously, we have the normal fearless bans: Cassante and Bessa, Xin, Wukong, Orianna, Galio, Varus, Kai'Sa, Braum, and Alistar all taken away. And we'll see where we go from here as the teams get ready for these first couple of bans.
Yeah, I think we'll stick to very similar bans in the last one, where you get to see things like the Azir taken off the board, that Yunara that's still been incredibly strong. The Poppy has been that go-to pretty regularly as well. So I think we won't see these for quite a while, if at all, throughout the course of this series.
Yeah, and it's interesting that both Azir and Yunara were banned game 1. As maybe champs like this.
Yeah, we are aware that some of the bans, there were bans happening and they weren't showing up, so we'll get that sorted obviously for us as soon as possible, and we'll get that fully brought up. There we are, we go old school, back to 2018 here.
Upset when Fnatic was good, so...
Upset hoping he's on the winning side this time around. Yeah. As it's Azir, Yunara, and Poppy once again banned away by Fnatic. Pantheon, Nautilus early ban here, and the Lucian taken away, and a Rumble first pick for Canna. He is fed up of being on tanks. He wants something he can carry with.
And Rumble certainly can, has insane damage, really great laning. Curious to see if Oscar goes for the Aurora into it, or if he goes for more of a tank and just tries to survive the matchup, as Fnatic look like they're going to get the Taliyah.
I think strong pick in the mid lane, right? I think it's something that has definitely been sitting on a ban list for quite a while. Didn't really get hit on the patch, so a strong pick, and something that you compare with some of these strong junglers as well, which I think should set them up nicely. But with Wukong, Pantheon already kind of taken away, Zinzao gone as well. Vi, maybe the other pick that you see coming through to the jungle here for Razork, and that will be the selection. Really
often banned against Fnatic when they're on this red side. The Taliyah, interesting. Haven't seen Poby actually bring it out so far here in the LEC. It's not too commonly banned against Fnatic either. Yeah, I was surprised by it too. Yeah. But it's not something we've seen him play so far in 2025, at least for Fnatic. As alongside that, the Vi team up. That's such a tried and true combination. Cease and desist, seismic shove, you're deceased. It's kind of how it goes.
And especially when it's paired up with Razork's Vi, which has felt like his signature pick. He's the one that's always been pulling off the Q flashes, getting kind of fancy with it. And it's up against Yike, who's kind of historically struggled on the Vi. Felt like a champion that even when he was on a dominating G2 roster, the Vi pick was something people were a little bit scared of.
And at least he's on something like the Jarvan, which is not notorious for you go in and if it's a bad engage, it doesn't work out very well. But I do think it works very well for what KC have, because the Rumble and the Jarvan, very strong combo. You got good self-peel now with the Ezreal on that backline. I wasn't sure whether they just wanted to immediately go for the Xayah, as that has kind of been the go-to in a lot of instances where we see this Vi. But now, with the Kai'Sa gone, looks like it's going to be the Zeri, another hyper-mobile AD carry for upset to work in tandem with this Vi.
Yeah, really nice into the Rumble and into the Jarvan alongside it. The ability just to get away when you have the Equalizer Cataclysm combination coming down. And alongside that, after you've disengaged, then slowly re-engage with that Lightning Crash, with the extra damage, with the extra movement speed you're getting out of it. We'll see how well that works for Fnatic. I did have a quick look. Yike, not so happy on the Vi, has about a 46% win rate, but on the Jarvan has played 3 games and won all 3. So very comfortable.
And one of them was against Fnatic in the game 5 of Winter, where it was quite the horrific draft for Fnatic, to put it like that. But I think this Zeri pick, it's very interesting from Upset here, as it allows him to have a great scaling, great mobility, as you guys said, but it has a really weak laning phase. So now you have presumably a losing top lane matchup into Rumble, which is one of the strongest laners in the game, and you have a losing matchup in that bot side. We can argue kind of the same was the case in game 1, but I'd say even more so in this game.
Yeah, especially because you imagine it's going to be the Gwen ban next here for KC. They just try and limit again, like that magic damage, which is where those Rumble nerfs like 4 patches ago actually hit them. So it is going to make it difficult for Oscarinin on the top side. But also curious to see exactly what the game plan here is for Mikyx. Like oftentimes we see the Lulu Zeri as that combo. You already have some engage, so potential to go for that. And when you've already got like the Alistar gone, the Nautilus gone, Rel gone, Nico gone, Lulu's a decent answer into things like the Rakan, which kind of fit into that next wheelhouse.
It makes a lot of sense. That's the Rakan ban. I was wondering about that as well for Mikyx, just the ability to follow up on the Vi and the Taliyah engages. Let's see where Fnatic decide to go. I was wondering about the Zeri as well. Jack, I think you bring up a really good point about it being bad in lane. We have seen some teams swapping their AD carries to top for the early game.
The Viper swap.
The Viper swap.
Yeah, that one is very interesting. And especially with the Sion, you could look to do something like it. And Zeri into Rumble is a fine matchup.
Yeah.
You can just farm against them from that range. And even Zeri top was viable at a certain point. So
we'll see if that happens.
I'd love to see that.
I'd love to see it too. I think it's a really niche strategy, although I will say it errs towards lane swaps, and I want to keep us away from lane swaps as much as possible. We'll see if it happens. Yone locked in for Vladi in that mid lane. He wants that AD jungler to team up, AD mid, sorry, to team up with an AP top. And there's the Leona. We're talking about engaged support. She's kind of really the only one left in that wheelhouse.
Yeah, especially with the Rakan already gone. So now, what do you try and answer into it is the issue. Like, Thresh is something that you used to be able to play into it because you could try and play out from the stun button. But it's not really something you want to try and play with Zeri. Is it the Mikyx special, eh?
I think Renata or Lulu, Taric is a little bit crazier because it doesn't have the greatest synergy with Zeri, as you want to play Taric typically more with the lane bully. But Mickey had great success on it with the Caliste, with Upset previously, and it's the sort of champion that if you really know the limits of it, you can do so much in a team fight.
I think it also just speaks volume to Mickey as a player, right? Like, he is in solo queue the guy that is going to bring out every funky pick under the sun. I saw in his match history a Cassante is born in solo queue, so this is definitely a guy who I think this lends to the flexibility of Fnatic, that they can bring out picks like this when they need to, as the pool gets pinched in that support role.
Well, the last time they brought out the Taric this year, they did lose to G2 in the playoffs. So hopefully for Fnatic fans, it's not going to go that way.
But that game they should have 100% won because like Upset and Mickey were so fed, and then Oscar died on the Gwen, and then G2 ended bot. It was a tragic game.
I did actually talk to Mickey afterwards. He was like, we had range, we just had to use range. So it's definitely a lament for Fnatic. So I think it's definitely at this stage where if you can set up this team fight where you've got the ultimate from Mickey on towards Razork when he goes for the engage, and you're able to keep the AD carry safe as well, I think you're going to be in a fantastic spot here for Fnatic.
Let's get ready to rumble for game 2 of this best of 5. A world's spot on the line. No planes to go through, straight through to that Swiss stage, taking on the best teams from all around the globe. We jump onto Summoners with KC fighting back from a 1-game deficit. They've done it many times before. Tons of people predicted a 3-1 to KC. We're not going to be Game 1 Andes. But Fnatic will be incredibly bolstered by how Game 1 ended up happening. There were some stumbles, there were some missteps, but in the end, on the back of Oscar and Razork, they were able to take the win. This game, more dependent, I would say, on Upset and Poby. Obviously, Razork's early game impact on this Vi can do a lot of work, but I don't expect Oscarinin on the Sion to be doing 40% of his team's damage.
They're doing the Viper swap. Oscar put the ward in the top lane middle bush. Sion is basing already, and Upset is going top. Medic, you're a genius.
Only if it works.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, I want no part of this. Let's see exactly how it works. So the Viper swap, in case you haven't seen it, is something that HLE are doing quite a lot in the LCK, or at least a few times. You swap your AD carry to the top side, they can solo lane into whatever top laner's up there, and then your support goes down with usually something like a Sion, a Cho'Gath, something that can survive having to go into melee range against a ranged champion. And that's exactly what they're doing. So often Mickey will swap around the 3-minute mark when that protection falls off.
Yeah, the whole reason you want to do this is to circumvent the lane swap mechanic that Riot put in that makes it so that if you go 2-man top, you get instantly one-shot by towers, you don't get any gold from minions, and it's just unplayable pretty much. So now, with Zeri just able to farm up the first few levels, Taric will recall as soon as he can, join her up, and then they can start bullying the Rumble, while Sion will just be completely fine laning 1v2 against this Ezreal Leona.
And it was nice while it lasted, lads. We'll always find a way to get some sort of weird shenanigans in when it comes towards lane swaps, but I think either way, and it's a nice job from Fnatic, right? Canna not going to be able to punish the matchup as much as he was like to, and Oscarinin going to be fine.
Yeah, they'll be happy enough with this. Obviously, Oscar in that 1v1 would struggle a little bit into Canna as well in the early game. The damage from the Rumble can be pretty difficult for the Sion to deal with. We see Mikyx backing now. He knows it's going to take him about 30 seconds to get towards that top lane. So set your recall, run back towards top, and go for the lane swap. It's Unsealed Spellbook on Mikyx and on Targamas this game, so expect to see those supports roaming around the map. Targamas very close to the minions here as they die, but I think he gets out of range in time. Looking for a gank onto Poby, who does have the push in mid. Vladi going forward, trying to stack up that Q3. Poby hits the threaded volley. Unraveled Earth comes out, and they're not able to find the connection there for KC.
And this is great for Oscar. He's just able now to farm 1v1 as Targamas runs all the way from bot lane here to top lane. Overall, I think you really have to give props to Fnatic for this macro. Like, it's a great idea to have this scaling ADC, this scaling top, get them both out of lane, and it's paying dividends thus far.
Also, the fact that that play in the mid lane didn't end up working out for Vladi means that he takes a good chunk of damage off of Poby trying to set up that play for Targamas, and now he's actually in a position where he can keep this in a decent spot. But Yike on this bottom side, Oscarinin takes a step too far.
Oscar still has flash. He's going to get chunked out though with the flag and dragged down to 200 HP. Caliste looking for the auto attacks. Oscar's flashes at the final moment. Yike almost dies to the tower shot, but Oscar just able to survive. Razork looking towards this top side as Targamas and Canna are about to feel the fists of fury. Razork goes in, Targa pops the heal, Dazzle doesn't connect. But that is the flash out from Targamas.
Flash for flash, Fnatic versus KC here. As you can see, Fnatic having full control of this top side. But I think even still, you're pretty happy as Fnatic. It's Canna that's having to lane against this Zeri, Taric here struggling with Targamas trying to give some sort of support, while Oscar can now TP back, push this lane out, and be completely fine.
I think if you're KC, like, it's not the best start, but you're still pretty happy with how the draft went overall.
Yeah.
Caliste getting this Ezreal, something he is so comfortable on and has had so much impact on this year, is such a good move for them as a team.
It's a great pick for him because it synergizes perfectly with his playstyle. He loves to play cocky, loves to play in your face, so he really excels on an ADC like this that has that safety, that has that range to allow him to do it.
I think also just giving him the control, as you say, in team fights to peel is going to be fantastic, because so much of Fnatic is going to be trying to lock him down, and if he can arcane shift away, it makes it very difficult for Poby to try and follow up with some of the seismic shoves and try and trade in any way effective in these team fights. So I really like the addition from KC, and we're going to have to see if they're able to keep him in a position where he can be that carry that KC need.
The biggest shame, though, is that when you're playing this Ezreal into the Zeri, you really want to get a lead, because after Zeri gets level 6, it's really easy for her to always just be pressuring you with the all-in, with all the damage she gets from that ultimate. And she has gotten to level 6 with the CS. I mean, she's not quite level 6 yet, but unless I'm really jinxing it here, she's gonna get to level 6 with a CS lead.
Yeah, Upset will be so happy with this early game, with how things have gone. Has that lethal tempo, going to stack it up in the middle of fights. Pretty even, though, for the early portions of this match. You can see the lead from Canna is negated by the lead for Upset, and a small lead, a smidge of a lead there for Poby in the mid lane, who has been able to push Vladi back. But Vladi's done a pretty good job after getting chunked out in the early game of actually keeping that CS pretty even. Only 2 CS down right now.
Let's see if you can try and use some of the pressure from the lane swaps for KC to try and set up for some of these objectives. It looks like they're going to go for a swap here with Caliste, try and match him up in towards this top side. As Upset has only just got into that top side, especially with Canna now TPing into the bottom lane. Basically, KC are trying to hard force the even lanes now, as Mikyx entering towards mid, but just scare off Vladi.
I think one of the things that we haven't touched upon, which is also really important, is this Vi pick.
Yeah.
Because when you're playing this Vi, it's really crucial that you're able to get to level 6 before anything really goes wrong. And I think that further hints at how good this lane swap was, that this Vi never had to cover for a dive, never had to worry about an invade. Razork could just play his game completely scot-free, and will now be able to get to level 6, and the only thing he had to drop was a dragon.
Yike is going to be able to secure this dragon for KC. They keep their record of taking the first neutral objective in both of the first 2 games of this series. They will lose their blue buff for it. Razork should take over to 6 as well by stealing away this neutral objective. Well, blue side objective, I guess, technically. Take away that buff for himself. And stealing the Grump as well. Targamas still only level 3. Can't really step up here.
And that's the biggest problem. If you're going for this split map situation, it's KC who need to try and get Caliste access to the wave. Oscarinin is fine to try and just farm down on the bottom side, but it's Targamas and Caliste who are the ones that are struggling now to actually get into the matchup.
And it feels so bad if you're Caliste in this game, because finally you get this 2v2. Just, oh, my jungler's on the other side of the map, and I can't do anything, I need to farm with Qs.
Yeah. He just has to stand back up, so trying to kick the wave. Frozen, grubs up in 30 seconds time. Yike was able to answer the theft of his buffs by taking away the blue and the gromp of Fnatic. Mikyx looking for a dazzle here. Caliste obviously has the safety of an arcane shift, and Targamas is pretty tanky when it's just this 2v2. Has that eclipse, and there's the arcane shift away from Caliste.
You can see they're just playing with that jungle pressure. KC doesn't know where Razork is, and even though Caliste is playing this very safe Ezreal, up against that point-and-click Vild, it's tough to get out.
And he has to be extra careful as well, because if the arcane shifts away from Mikyx's stun, suddenly you can have Poby who can come up with the Weaver's Wall, the point and click from Razork as well. So you can see how much respect Caliste has to play with of what could potentially be coming from the darkness of Fnatic.
Yeah, Fnatic will just try and burn that cooldown as often as they can, because you need to hit the Mystic shots to get that cooldown back. If you don't have an arcane shift when it comes to a fight, as you say, seismic shove, cease and desist, unstoppable onslaught, there's so many follow-up mechanics to it. And alongside that, the person that is charging at you will probably have a Taric dazzle coming out of them alongside it. So it's so much CC.
It's also just so mana intensive as well. You can see Caliste now is struggling for it. So if you actually tried to take a team fight, I don't think you'd have the mana for a lot of arcane shifts or a lot of mystic shots.
But crucially here, Canna is the one moving, as now Mikyx looks for a stun onto Targamas.
Yeah, we'll get it. Eclipse going down from Targamas as well. The Upshot laser doesn't quite clip him. KC getting 2 of these grubs would be huge as they go for the engage onto Yike. Cataclysm downhill, flash the wall, unstoppable onslaught out from Oscarinin. Looks for the decimating smash, but a good dash away with the fate sealed will get KC out of that situation. 2 for 1 in terms of grubs, but KC should be happy enough to get out of there with their life.
And this buffer city for KC, what a beautiful display of mechanics there. Yike buffers the Q flash from Razork so he gets out without getting stunned by the cease and desist. And Vladi buffers the ulti from Oscarinin so he's fine as well. And overall they get 2 flashes from the side of Fnatic while getting 1 grub in return.
I think as well, if you end up having that advantage now for 2 minutes time for the next dragon, I think that's where KC can really try and run away with it. You should have Blade of the Rune King completed on towards Vladi at that stage. Caliste should be able to hit his first time as well. And I think in that position, KC can then start to pick off some of these members, especially with things like the Cataclysm and that Rumble Ults combo.
Oh, this might be in trouble.
Yeah, he's a little bit alone. TP comes in. There's the dazzle. Lightning crash coming out. Caliste going to dash away, but Mikyx's tanking the tower and it isn't yet level 6. The minions are in the way of the fire. Upset's going to die too. Targamas needs another couple of orders. Can't quite find them. Razork going in. Doesn't have that cease and desist. Caliste, can you find a way out? No way. Enough. He escapes. A shield getting break, but excessive force. Out of the buy, finally finds his man.
That was the exact amount of force needed there, because that went a bit disastrously for Fnatic. Upset, missing one of the Q shots means that Caliste is able to survive, and we'll see it here underneath the tower.
Yeah, I mean, this was such a brave dive from Fnatic here as they recognize it's the Leona TPing. They can go for this, but they forgot. It's Zeri. Once that E runs out, her autos get blocked. Upset literally can't kill Caliste because his autos are just getting blocked by the minions. And then Razork finally gets here. Caliste does a pretty good juke with the heal, but Targamas ends up giving Razork the E to take him down.
Yeah, so close for Caliste to escape that. Survive the 2v1 dive. Cosmic Radiance wasn't available to the Taric. I think it would have been a very different situation if it was. That ultimate can have such an impact. Caliste the next target.
It might be this situation because there's multiple members on the way. You can see them on the minimap. Vi and also Poby now starting to play just down towards this bottom side.
KC reacting to it immediately though. Vladi on his way down. Yike is just around the bend as Fnatic will back away. 20 seconds on the Drake. Those flashes for Oscar and for Razork still yet to come off cooldown. Caliste no longer has his, nor does Targamas. So it's going to be a pretty summonerless fight if we do see a battle over the Drake. Last time we saw KC kind of giving up the second Drake of the game to Fnatic.
Yeah, it feels hard for KC to find an avenue to really get in here. I think trying to look for Poby maybe on mid lane below his flash could definitely be a good opportunity, as it's hard to break them on bot lane.
The good thing for KC is if they do delay, Canna has teleport and Oscar doesn't. You can see Oscar's already walked his way down through the river, and so Canna could teleport down to a fight around the Drake. Fnatic probably realizing that, say, okay, we've got to go for it immediately, make sure that KC don't have the opportunity to push in that top lane tower.
It's also KC are just shy of their first item breakpoints, whereas you're getting them on Fnatic, so Fnatic basically using that fact that they don't have to pop off for like, or stop off for a tier and the early boots, but maybe they want to stop off for Caliste.
Caliste not flash.
It's coming out, Caliste no flash, seismic shot back into the dazzle. How do you escape it? It's truly outrageous from Fnatic.
And how have Fnatic just come alive in these early games against KC? This is again, we're seeing Fnatic going for these side lane plays and catching Karmine Corp out.
And if you give Fnatic the buttons, they will press them as they're finding Caliste again and again. With Upset now getting so many plates in this bot lane, Vladi able to return 2 in mid, but as Caliste's game, this feels terrible.
It really does, and Fnatic have shown that that is their focus. If they can take out Caliste, they believe the rest of the map will go in their favor. Canna only about 9 gold ahead of this Sion on this Rumble. Hasn't had the opportunity to use the equalizer in a big team fight. Has the Leandries, will absolutely burn as Yike is spotted on this control ward towards the top side. Oscar should just be able to walk his way away. Doesn't have the flash though, and with the Cataclysm coming out, there's no real escape here for the Sion. Decimating Smash lands onto 2. They're going to keep chasing him under the tower. The equalizer down, Flame Spitter. Enough from Yike and from Canna to find the kill. Poby on the chase. Just going to clear out the way.
I think Oscarinin was trying to bait, keep Yike interested on this top side, but ends up taking that step too far forward and not respecting the engage range from Yike. Ends up falling and giving KC something back on the map.
Oh, good seismic shove. The dazzle Canna has to flash it. It was hidden under the earth there, burrowing its way through towards Canna.
Just like gems.
Oh, just like gems, true. Canna did a good job mining out the data that he needed there to make sure that he wasn't clipped by the dazzle. Rift held up in 50 seconds time. Next Drake still 3 minutes away, but Fnatic with a 2,000 gold lead, predominantly sitting on their bot lane. Upset about a K ahead. Mickey about 500 gold ahead. For KC, once again, you find yourself at the 15-minute mark in a bit of a hole.
Yeah, it's a tough situation, especially as it doesn't feel like this Ezreal poke is really going to come online anytime soon. So you're really relying on Vladi and Canna and Yike to find this great angle and have the damage in that burst time frame to really win a fight. But Fnatic have such good disengage with this Taric, with this Sion, able to tank as Oscar.
Canna has no flash. If that had hit, I think he charges in with the Unstoppable Force.
Yeah.
Unstoppable Onslaught?
Unstoppable Onslaught,
That's the one, yeah. Unstoppable Force is Malphite ult.
True.
Thankfully, basically the same.
Yeah, basically the same thing. You just charge at a thing. You don't knock it up if there's a Shyvana in the game, apparently. That was what's happening yesterday on the live servers. But Fnatic have set up around this Rift Herald. They have a little bit of vision control, although the Scuttle Crab and that control ward towards the top side for KC is giving them a nice little peek into what is happening around that Herald.
It's always fun to see supports with Spellbook and they just like randomly ghost and go really fast.
Oscarinin. Unstoppable Onslaught could play a factor here. Canna has the teleport.
I think it's hard for KC to take a fight like this though, because as Jack was already saying, you don't have Canna here, and so much of that upfront burst is where you need to win the fight for KC, because after that Taric ult comes in, just the consistent DPS from Fnatic is so strong.
They're going to dive onto Oscar. Lightning Crash coming out from Upset, and Targamas has to flash away. Weaver's wall will split them uprights. Separates Caliste from his team, but he doesn't really mind being on this side. Equalizer down will clip the Rift Herald. Razork diving in. The smite comes out from Yike, lands it. Cosmic Radiance not going to come down in time to save Razork. Both the junglers have traded their lives, and now we get to see Caliste really open up. Oscarinin has to flash away. Fate Seal from Vladi doesn't find his mark, and the shield from Oscarinin is enough for now. The seismic shove. Oscar blows him up with the Roar of the Slayer. Trades his own life for it in the end, a 2 for 2.
KC played that so patient. They end up waiting for that ult to come out from Mickey, but
Mickey's dead. Caliste finds him. Huge. 4-2-0 now on the Ezreal.
And it's Fnatic that are trying to continue taking this Herald, but it's a bit too much as they end up falling. Caliste gets the Herald. He's now back in the game with 4 kills on him. And this is why Caliste on this Ezreal is so respected and does so incredibly well.
And you see as the fight kicks off, it's KC playing it slow. They don't want to overcommit because there is the Taric ultimate and the Weaver's wall to separate them. But you can see as KC come through here, they're just trying to separate the team. Try and finish off Razork. He goes that bit too far before the ultimate comes in. And at that stage, it's kite back wait for that Taric ultimate to fall, and immediately follow through. And it's Vladi and Caliste who are just tearing through Fnatic in this fight.
And we just saw in the picture-in-picture there, Yike and Razork fighting again, both using their flashes there. And I think, as you said, Rob, you kind of have to say Mickey made a mistake there. He ults a little bit too late when it's Razork that starts the fight, so he doesn't get that Cosmic Radiance to actually survive. And you have to wonder, if he did survive, that fight would look completely different for them.
It's a 2.5-second cast bar, and we saw Razork diving in, immediately getting stunned, and just probably a quarter of a second away from finding it. KC will get themselves another neutral objective. The Rift Herald, a grub, a Chem Drake, and now a Mountain Drake. It's going to be a Mountain Soul for us in this game, and either side will be very happy with it. If I'm looking for Fnatic, I'd say if my Sion has a few Mountain Drakes in his back pocket, I am absolutely loving life. But Caliste, the key problem still for Fnatic. The fact that he has built up this advantage, at least in terms of kill score, if not in terms of gold.
And I'm so glad that we're starting game off. Game 2 off very similar to game 1. This looks like to be a very close game here, and maybe even series, as both teams are battling it out, trading blows here and there. But upset Io over the wall, but he's going to be fine. And you can see both of these teams are so hungry to try to get something to happen.
I think this is where Fnatic have been kind of finding these small advantages against KC, though, is how well they've been moving from mid into bot to link up with Oscarinin and just gate KC from entering into their own jungle. They're just stealing away red buffs, they're getting a couple of camps, but most importantly, they're guaranteeing these wave shoves in. And it's isolating Poby to a certain extent, but on the Taliyah, he's perfectly fine to just continue to shove these waves. And I think it's been doing a lot of work for Fnatic in getting vision and understanding as to what KC are up to.
And I think to add to that, Rob, I really agree, because especially this game, last game Fnatic kind of had the cheat code. When Oscar is 5-0 on this Ambessa, he's so strong he can push out any side. But when you're playing the Sion into the Yone, normally it's the Sion that's going to get pushed in and struggle. But with Fnatic moving so well, constantly able to get this mid pressure, it's still them able to push in sides first, which makes their map so much easier to play.
It really does. As we press towards that 20-minute mark, it's still about 1,500 gold, the advantage for Fnatic. Expect to see another fight in a couple of minutes or so. If someone sees the opportunity to find a pick, they'll go for it, but Artican's up in 40. That will be spawning topside. Next Drake, 3 minutes away. Often when the Artican does spawn up on this top side, we see it fought around a little bit earlier than if it's on the bottom side, because people want to align the Drake and the Artican take whenever you can. Trying to set up vision around it. They'll lose their mid lane tower with the Rift Herald from KC earlier on. It was always going to be pretty easy for them to crack through that. It's the power that Herald gives you. And the reason Fnatic will be pretty dismayed that they didn't manage to win that smite fight.
For sure, especially now with that mid tower gone, it makes it a lot harder for Upset to be the one pushing in these mid waves, and it gives Caliste actually that opportunity to play aggressive on these mid waves, to get control and to be the one to move first to a side, which then has this domino effect of unlocking the Yone, unlocking the Rumble, and just making KC's map play much more succinct.
It does feel like side lanes for KC are a lot easier than they were in game 1. Firstly, there's not a 5-0 Ambessa that you have to deal with, but also you have people that in solo lanes can manage to push their opponents back. The Yone and the Rumble actually do that really well. The Yone's struggling a little bit right now, but if you can get to a position where you're even, you can just get that push out.
But I think the key word in that was solo lanes, and Fnatic are not playing solo. Every time they've just been shifting constantly with 4 members onto these side portions of the map, and it's making sure that then Vladi can't collect these waves far out, and you can't really, as KC, exploit the fact that this mid lane tower is down, and it's constantly keeping Fnatic within touching distance and keeping them with control over river as well, which is so important.
Yeah, I have to say, like, really give props to Fnatic this game, because even now they're still able to continuously push in every lane pretty much, as now with Upset basing, Caliste is going to be able to push this out and maybe leverage some control up towards this river, but Sion being able to repeatedly push in waves and just kind of relax, I think you're really happy as Fnatic.
Yeah, just scaling up that tank as much as you can. KC looking for a little bit of vision towards the Fnatic side of the map. They only have 1 ward sitting on Targamas on that World Atlas, so they don't really want to use it without going through due process, making sure it's in the right position, but they'll ward up this topside jungle. Fnatic using that as a great opportunity just to step in here and take down the tier 1. KC investing a couple members too many, but it's because they knew Fnatic had been playing as this 4-man unit. You can't just send one person to go and get the vision, because what if they're waiting there?
And that's exactly what Fnatic are playing off, right? It's just this constant push-pull and waiting for KC to make this slight mistake, because again, they have set up so much vision control in River that they're able to spot out when Yike shows on this top side. Like, he popped himself in towards that tri-brush, and they're like, great, it's going to take you too long to get back towards mid. Now we can go for the play. And it's just these small timing windows that honestly we haven't seen Fnatic play off of before, but they're playing really well around them.
Yeah, I'm really impressed. And even with this play that you guys were talking about, it was Oscar that was able to push in bot first, recall first, and now Canna presumably needs to recall as well to match it. So it feels like Fnatic are constantly ahead of tempo here. And even when KC kind of have the comp that you'd more expect to see in this 1-3-1, able to pressure all three sides, it's them who are constantly getting pushed in. But now we got a Drake spawning, so team fights are all that matters.
And it looks like Canna is going to forego that reset and just say, I need to group my team. Positioning on this objective is so much more important. As we said, like, that 2.5-second cast bar for Mikyx is the timing window that KC are looking to burst people out, and it's that duo on the top side that are looking for it here.
Canna is absurdly strong right now. Has Bloodletters and the Andrew's already complete. He's looking for the damage onto Razork. Weaver's wall coming out. Mikyx trying to get in here. Razork diving forward as they jump onto Canna, on towards that backline. Canna gets the equalizer down. Cosmic Radiance coming out as well as Upset's already got the first kill. The second goes out as Fnatic collapse perfectly. Vladi and Canna eat dirt.
And it's a disaster for KC. They're the ones with control. They're the ones with the position, but they can't hold it. Fnatic keep being the team with the better...
Gone straight away.
Yeah, they're going to get everything. They can pull the trigger, they can go first, and Fnatic are damn good when they can go first.
And Fnatic looks so much more confident in Madrid. This was a team that almost completely throughout summer they are firmly the 4th place team. Every conversation didn't matter, but it's now Fnatic on towards the Atacant. But KC, do they want to contest?
Yike's building ahead already. Can he look for this? Vladi has the teleport, so does Canna. The Atacant already down to 2,000. Yike trying to get in there, but he can't get close enough. The stun onto Yike, exhausted immediately. He's going to need to get the hell out of dodge. Dives in with the Cataclysm, but dives for it. And now Canna's in the midst of the fray. The dash away from Upset gets him across the wall. Mikyx falling low. Oscarinin too, but he's going to flash the wall as well. And KC, they're just so close, but they can't get purchased in the fight.
And Fnatic are getting away with murder as they get absolutely everything as we watch this fight back. It's Oscar that finds Canna and sets Poby up for a great play. Upset with the mobility, Taric with the ulti allows Fnatic to be so tanky that Vladi and Canna just die with no chance of fighting back. Then they get the Drake, Poby TP stop pushes that out, and even with KC having the 2 teleports, they are just too late.
And it's Fnatic using their mobility so incredibly well in fight number 2, and then again in fight this second fight here as well. As KC, they try and go for the engage, but Razork ends up moving forward to then jump back in towards the Atacant. Then as this TP comes through from Vladi, he immediately gets on towards Upset, but Upset is able to dash away over the wall. Oscarinin buys enough space here and has his flash to make sure he can get away from that Q3 from Vladi as well. And it's blinking health bars, but it doesn't matter.
Nice.
I can't believe Mikyx lived there with 100 HP, slowly waddles out. As Fnatic now looking like they might just start Nash.
And there's no TP, and he's on the bottom side. I think he's just shown on a ward.
Yike's going to put a standard in the bush to try and get a little bit of vision. KC realized this might be happening. So Fnatic are baiting a bush. They've done this since the dawn of time. As Mikyx, Razork and Poby on one side. Upset's going to catch the mid wave. Oscarinin is standing near that mid lane bush just to try and get a bit of control around here. KC still on that back foot. Targamas going back to base. Probably run out of wards, needs to refresh. Razork turns towards the Baron. KC, you got to step into darkness. You got to go into the unknown to try and find a way back into this game. You are bleeding currently. Can you stop it? Find a tourniquet. Is it Yike who can grab it, who can smite it away from Fnatic? Yike able to get into the middle of the pit, but he's there so early. Cataclysm out, but he's just going to die. The Baron's still incredibly healthy. Fnatic will claim it. Can they take the fight afterwards? Another down space sealed. Lands onto Razork. Upset falling low. Needs to get out. The redemption saves him. Upset. The redemption saves him. Upset back in Madrid. And he's not giving up his hopes and worlds again.
Upset is coming for revenge in Madrid here as he takes them down. Caliste does not have the damage. It's Upset's home field, baby.
It is the redemption in the pit. It is the redemption for Fnatic. It is the Baron for Fnatic. As KC, they attempt to make the play here, but Yike goes in too soon. Mikyx immediately pops the ultimate to make sure Fnatic can survive. And KC think just maybe that is our moment. And Vladi goes in, gets on towards the back line, but the redemption barely keeps Upset alive. He dashes over the wall, finishes off with a triple, and it's these blinking health bars once more that are the bane of KC's existence.
It is so close, but so far for Karmine Corp. And after winning Winter, after accelerating onto the international stage, and then struggling a little bit in spring and summer to refine that form, I think a lot of people looked at them as odds-on favorites to get to Worlds. I know I did. I predicted 3-1 KC. Yeah. But today, Fnatic have been the better team so far. They still need to close it out. We have seen them throw from this sort of position in a game before, but not today.
And it doesn't feel like that Fnatic. They feel like they are together. They feel like they understand exactly how far they can push KC, and they are breaking KC right before our eyes. And it looks like that inhibitor turret is the next thing to fall.
And it feels like the nail in the coffin for KC as they're able to get mid inhib now. They can look to siege up towards top as well. Vladi able to get some sort of reprisal down in that bot lane, but Upset used his E here.
Canna with a good equalizer, but no real collapse from the rest of KC. Does mean that Fnatic are unlikely to continue on the push.
You can see how timid KC are though. Even when Upset uses his E like that and Canna gets so much damage onto him, Yike is still not willing to pull the trigger. And if that felt like your moment, that was your opportunity to come back in the game. What better chance is KC going to get?
It's definitely not going to be this Mountain Dragon that's now just spawned. You can see everything on KC was pushed through Vladi on that bottom side just to try and get some access point, but Fnatic reset, back out onto the map, immediately start the objective up, and it's for KC. Feels like their grip on this game is falling away.
Oh, it's slipped. They are currently plummeting down to earth, and the question is, can they find some sort of parachute, some sort of grapple on the wall to retain some control of the game, because they just lose another dragon. Thankfully for KC, it is only Fnatic's third of the game. Razork can step forward, another tier 2 to the men in orange as they take a 7,500 gold lead. 3 minutes before the next Baron, but with supers pushing through mid for the next 4, it's going to be so difficult for KC to ever leave their base.
Everything around KC is crumbling. And again, you already said it, Medic, like this was the team that everyone, well, almost everyone, had their money on. And I'm just blown away with how well Fnatic have played this series thus far. And the thing is now, if Fnatic can close this game out cleanly, what do you try to change as KC? Because this has been comfort. This has been what you've shown your strengths on throughout the year. And nothing seems to be working.
Yeah, I want to add on to that. I really think for me, Fnatic, they felt like they were the dumbest top team. All they did was they played around bot, and if Upset got ahead, they could go in and they could fight. But in this series thus far, they've shown a creative lane swap like we talked about. We've shown that they've been way better at playing around the side lanes, both when they had the winning sides and even when they had the losing sides, at gaining pressure and control of the map. And it's just choked KC out and given me so much confidence for this Fnatic lineup.
Seismic shot back onto Yike, buff as well. Flag and drag act, but Razork is not going to let him escape without using his ultimate. Flash away from the Jarvan. KC's jungler now without that ultimate, without that summoner. 90 seconds before we see the Baron return to the Rift.
Razork did it to use his ultimate as well, though. So you end up getting that buffer out from Yike. With,
Targamas crashing after flash. That's the Leona almost just getting taken out. He's dead. Upset dashing in. He's feeling himself. He knows the win is in sight. Game 2 of this best of 5 could be claimed by Fnatic, but they take a step back. They take a breath. They realize perhaps a little bit too hypey there from their AD carry. They want the tier 3 in top as their prize. The wave cleared out well by KC. Upset has to dash away from Vladi, who looked to be engaged.
This is not a confidence we saw in Upset when he was on Karmine Corp, but Fnatic Upset looking like he wants to end this right here, right now. with Baron just about to spawn, Fnatic will ease up the pressure momentarily and look for this full build Zeri to take over at the potentially game-ending Baron here.
And what a great game from Upset. Picking this Zeri in a tough scenario, gets out with the lane swap, and 8-0. Just doing so much in these team fights, both able to play on that limit, baiting people in, while also doing the damage. And it's such a good redemption arc for him. After a tough last year, feeling like he was a KDA player, and just coming back into this with so much confidence. The fact that he's always following Mikyx and Razork, even the one being first to go in, has just set up Fnatic for such great success. And I don't see Casey contesting this Nash.
I mean, Yike's going to try and steal it. Sneak behind them, but he's spotted on that ward. He'll clear it out. The Weaver's wall. Fnatic turn their attention instead to Targa, who immediately is deleted. They don't even need to take the Baron. They'll just take the fight. Canna follows suit. And Targa and Canna fall to the dirt. Vladi having to dash away, but Razork finds him with his fists. A triple for Upset. The base in their eyes.
11-0 for Upset. A 2-0 for Fnatic. And KC look absolutely clueless as to how to stop the rising giants of Fnatic.
And Fnatic have disappointed when we believed, but when we lost hope, that is when they have come back and shined brighter.
The inhibitor fall. They're going to be delayed. How long on Vladi and Canna? 20 seconds shouldn't be enough for KC to hold this as Oscarinin is falling low. Upset begins to step forward and forces KC back to their advantage. He is so damn strong right now. Almost full build. The seismic shove on Caliste will knock him back. And with a slight hiccup as the inhibitor respawns, Fnatic will close it out and go one game away from Worlds.
And Fnatic, an organization that really doesn't miss Worlds. They've only done it twice. Feels like they're destined to get it again.
And we're going to hand it over to Shox, who's standing by, ready for an interview. Shox, take it away.
Not really an interview, but I am on the top of the mountain. If only Yamato could see me now. I'm right here at the top of the mountain to just see how everybody was. And I gotta say, KC, they are looking dejected. They took a while to get up from their seats. Fnatic immediately up and down those stairs. By the way, did you know there's like 200 stairs that the players need to take every single time when they go up and down? But just this moment for Upset, is this really going to happen, right? Because back in 2018, he had some things he wanted to make up for. What a match between Karmine Corp and Fnatic. Let's see where we go in this next game. Oh, I also came up the stairs.